Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta could not make his State of the Nation address in Parliament for a full 30 minutes on Thursday as Orange Democratic Movement MPs held a noisy protest in the chamber. President Uhuru had to brave chaos to give the Jubilee scorecard. Now, also in today's program, sources within Deputy President William Ruto's defense team revealed that the ICC trial chamber had set April 5th as the date when they will deliver their ruling over the DP's application to have the case against him at the Hague court terminated. Of course, this and much more in today's program. This is Politically Correct. My name is Liangari. Now with me in studio is political analyst Martin Ulo to shed more light on the issues that we'll be highlighting today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
It's good to see you.
Asante. Nice to have you again.
Yes, we're really happy to have you again. Well, remember, viewers, you can send in your views and comments, what you think about today's program and what you'd like us to highlight. That's through, you can send us your views and comments through the number 0774 455 111. The number again is 0774 455 111. Martin, yesterday there was a showdown in Parliament. You saw that some of the MPs, a section of the MPs, caused a lot of chaos in Parliament as the President was trying to deliver his address. Do you think this behavior was warranted for?
Absolutely not. The role of the opposition is not to be disruptive and to be chaotic. The role of the opposition is to offer alternatives. The presidential speech or the State of the Nation address was an opportunity for the president to state what the government has done, and it was also, or it is, an excellent opportunity for the opposition also to state otherwise. So the government says what they think and the opposition says what they think. So if it happens to converge, so be it. If it happens to be divergent, the better. So the role of the opposition is not to be disruptive. And so what we saw yesterday was a shame, was demeaning of the institution of government and the parliament for that matter, because the parliament is a place for debate, not a place for howling and shouting. So when you have run out of ideas to debate and you start shouting, you should be in the streets, not in parliament.
Well, the MPs who caused the chaos, you know, blowing whistles and waving placards written on full skirts, they definitely feel that they had a reason, they had basis for why they behaved the way they did. Do you think there is really any reason that is tangible enough for them to have behaved the way they did in the chambers?
I wouldn't support any action that is unruly, chaotic. Neither do you have reasons to be disorderly. You cannot have reasons to be disorderly. You can only have excuses to be disorderly. So I have the sense that if they had anything, they have a perfect opportunity to articulate those issues once the presidential speech has been made, because then Parliament has a whole week to debate the presidential speech. So you then, if you have issues, then you debate. But you cannot stop the president from performing his duties. You cannot stop Parliament from listening to their president, because doing so undermines the very essence of democracy. So I don't want to give them the benefit that they had reasons. I think that would be giving them too much benefit. They had absolutely no reasons. If anything, excuses. What they are carrying as placards, whistles, those stuff belong to picketing and demonstrations. You go picket and demonstrate, and you demonstrate around Parliament. Anybody, if a member of civil society is free to carry placards and demonstrate around Parliament. But members of Parliament demonstrating inside Parliament, that's unparliamentary. That's not how procedures of Parliament are carried out. So it's a failure on their part, and particularly it's a failure of the opposition.
Well, the Ugunja Member of Parliament, Honorable Opiyo Wandayi, right now as it is, he will not be allowed in Parliament or its offices for the rest of the session. What do you think this means for Honorable Opiyo?
It's a loss for people of Ugunja who elected him, because they never elected him to go and shout and howl and be disorderly. And so if he's not sitting in the Parliament and perhaps contributing to the debates in Parliament and he's sitting out of Parliament, certainly his people should think of recalling him and ask him, hey, did we send you to go and sit outside when Parliament is in session, or to sit in? And of course, there are reasons sometimes when a member of Parliament can be kicked out of Parliament. but you want to be kicked out of parliament for honorable reasons, if there's any such a thing as honorable, or there's no honor in being kicked out of parliament, it's only dishonor. But perhaps if you're convened to a debate that you're passionate about and you somehow turned and used unparliamentary language and you were kicked out, you can say, look, it was the passion, it was the manner in which I thought I was articulating the issue. But that's howling and shouting and misbehaving, because what we saw is misbehavior. What we saw is, lacking decorum. So it's a shame.
Do you think Honorable Opiyo may lose his seat, considering that he may miss 8 sittings in Parliament?
Not with that reason, because the reason is that he has been excluded as a result of a certain punishment. It's not the same thing as when he willfully misses Parliament. So it will not be possible to invoke that parliamentary rule. It's only if he absconded or abstained without reason or without excuse. He has reason not to go to Parliament because he's been excluded for the session. So that's fine. That's fine. Hey, now you cannot invoke the Parliament of loss of, the provision of loss of a seat at that stage. Yeah.
But also the president handling the whole chaos in Parliament with such a calm demeanor. What would you say about the demeanor in which the president handled the whole chaos that was going on in the chambers?
Of course, I didn't expect anything less. He's the president, so he's allowed to let everything else happen, and once it has happened, you rise in your stature and you make your speech and you go away. You don't also turn around and start howling as they howl. So for the reason that he remained presidential, then that was befitting. That's what I expected. I didn't expect anything less than that. If he went into the shouting match, then I would be surprised, because that I would comment on. But as long as he kept his cool and he stayed above the fray, that's what the presidency is about.
Well, the chaos in Parliament would more or less give a reflection of the kind of leaders that we have currently. The president, who is the ultimate authority of the country, addressing the state, and we have a section of MPs who are causing chaos. What do you think this tells Kenyans in terms of the kind of leaders that they have elected?
Let me say this, that the problem with the leadership is the quality that we have. And this quality is not just wanting in opposition, it's also wanting in government. This same behavior, you could have seen it. Remember the other day when the then CS for devolution went to be questioned by a parliamentary committee, and the MPs who escorted her was unruly and as chaotic as you would imagine. They were worse than street guys or guys of the street. And so what we're saying is that there's a problem with the quality of leadership. And we seem to think that for us to disagree, that we must be unruly, we must be chaotic, we must be disorganized. And I'm saying, no, we can disagree. Even I and you can disagree right now on this program. But I can say it in a manner that makes you listen, and you can also say it in a manner that makes me listen. But if we start a shouting match, then we'll not have a program. So we must be able to learn that leadership means keeping our cool, allowing reason to prevail, agreeing to disagree in a manner that's agreeable, so we don't then tear into each other's clothes, or then tear into each other's personal lives just because we are not seeing things the same way. So the quality of leadership is wanting in this country, and a lot of it has also to do with the levels of Chapter 6 of the Constitution in terms of leadership and integrity and its enforcement. And I always like to blame the IEBC for giving us the kind of leaders we have, because they have an opportunity to set rules and also to exclude people whose character is in question and whose past is in question. So when we are not vetting and when we are not applying strict rules, then anything passes. So today, if you are controversial, if you are accused of corruption, the next thing that you do is to go and look for leadership. Yeah, so you would have a case, you have not even finished your case, you're saying you want to be a governor and you are being accused of corruption. You have not even finished, you are going to say you are running for office. Offices are not places where you run when you already are dishonorable, because they are places of honor. But for us, unfortunately, we see the opposite.
Well, President Uhuru yesterday was saying that the current opposition we have right now has been the most effective and vocal opposition in Africa. Should we at least consider the fact that the opposition actually plays its role, and maybe that yesterday was in a bid to play its role as the opposition?
No. The role of opposition is not to oppose government. is to give views that run counter to government. In other words, if you want to build a story house, the opposition should be telling you, no, let's build a flat house. If you want to build a road, the opposition will be telling you, no, first let's now do feeder roads. So that they are always giving you an alternative to what you are doing, not simply opposing you for the sake of opposing. I would not agree with the president on that basis, because he was delivering his third State of the Nation address. Tell me, after the first address and after the second address and even after this third address, has the opposition stood up to give you an alternative address to what the president has said? Tell me, the current opposition, does it have any organization that reflects the organization of government? Do they have shadow cabinets? Do they have shadow policies? They don't have. So what kind of opposition is it that doesn't seem to have mechanisms to counter?
So are we saying the opposition has not been objective?
No, to the extent that they are not playing their role in a manner that is rational, in a manner that is expected of them. Because when you go to the UK Parliament, and right now the Conservatives are in power, what the Labour are doing is all the time if you're giving alternatives, whether it's an issue of immigration, whether it's an issue of Europe, I mean staying in the European market, or whether it's the issue of terrorism and whether to attack ISIS. Every time government makes a statement, you see opposition making a statement. Of course, there are times when they converge, whether it's we're also looking at the US, for example, when the Democrats are in power, as they are, you see what positions the Republicans are taking, whether to appoint a judge to replace Justice Scalia or not. I mean, there are debates you see, and they are taking different sides. So you tell me, apart from calling the government thieves and calling them names, what alternative is the opposition offering? So I'm looking for an opposition to offer us alternatives. I wouldn't agree that they have been effective. The only thing that I would suggest, perhaps, and what the president is alluding to, is that there is a lot of room, there's a lot of space, and there's a lot of openness for Kenyans to talk about government, to talk about things, and that is in itself making government accountable. And so opposition may be ineffective, but there's a lot of space in terms of the constitution that allows them to make noises.
All right. I want us to move to county governments. The president said there have been a lot of gains in terms of supporting county governments. That is the government supporting the county governments. But we've seen Meru Governor Peter Munya come out strongly saying we have not received funds for the devolution purposes. But the president, on the other hand, was criticizing the county governments for how they have been performing in terms of development. Where are we missing the point here?
I think that now, this is my time now to make the point that both the State of the Nation and our reaction misses the point. The point is this: it's not how many projects we've done, it's not how many palaces we've created, it's not in whether we have given money to devolution. Because there are no choices there. The Constitution says we do these things and we are doing them. So we are doing what we expected to do. The question is, what is the effect, what's the impact, what's the outcome? And the other issue is, it's not about things, it's not about objects, it's not about structures, it's not about construction, it's not about constructing classrooms, it's about access to education. After you've constructed so many second schools, how is access improving? That's what we should be measuring the state of the nation. After we've done so many roads, what is happening to people's lives? How many people can say that we have seen our lives improve because of SGR? Of course, those who have been given billions in terms of compensation, some of them who are fake landlords, have money in their pockets. The question is, what are they converting that money to, and how is the economy improving, or how is their lives changing? Are we dislocating people to make them squatters after they've squandered their money, or are we also following them up with programs that are making them live better now, build better houses, of course some marry more wives and so on? So the point is, what is this money doing? And to what extent can we say that this money is leading to better lives?
So we're saying there are no tangible or visible projects that we can rely on to show that the money being given out for devolution purposes is being utilized?
No, I wouldn't say that. The point I'm saying is that this is what is missing. We should not be looking at devolution in terms of money we have put down. We should be assessing the effect and the impact of that money. So, yes, if all the money has gone to building palaces, as the statement says, what is the effect? Are people in Meru happier that now Governor Munya is building a palace? Are people in Elgeyo Marakwet happier that their governor is building a palace, or indeed Kakamega and so on? So the question then here is, are the people, when you measure the people's happiness, or when you measure the people's reaction, are they supportive? Do they appreciate? Do they back what their governors are doing or not? So for me, what we're missing out by just playing out infrastructure and playing out projects and playing out things, objects, what I call objects, is what is happening to people's lives. Is it getting better? Is it likely to get better? Is my life going to be better because of SGR? That's the question I should be asking. Is my life going to be better because my county has decided to build X factory or so on? The point is, are we doing these things because we want Kenyans to be better off? Or are we doing these things because we think that's where the kickbacks are, and that's where we can get quick bucks for ourselves?
Martin, we'll just take a short break. Viewers, remember you can send in your views to us on the topic today through the numbers 0774 455 111. That's again 0774 455 111. Martin, I want us to look at some of the questions that the President was asking yesterday in the chambers, and we'll do that after a short break. So don't go too far, viewers. We'll be back shortly.